Hey there TRW crew, Matt Vassallo here with the RhinestoneWorld.com, and this is your TRW tutorial number 125, the basic fill features. So we get a lot of questions about the different fills with the island fill, the offset fill, the hatch fill, and what's the big difference between the three of them. So that's what we're going to run through for you real quick here, is just show you some different options that you have with your different fill features in the TRW Stone Wizard version 2 and CorelDRAW. So we have a basic square here, and if I just wanted to fill this basic square with rhinestones, I could do this. I'm going to do 0 for islands because I want it to go all the way to the inside, and then I could do an island fill and I would get this look. So I don't think that looks great because it's going to have some overlap, some different areas in it where it's not going to look very good. Well, what I could also do is if I clicked on corner detect and did an island fill, now it's starting to look a little bit better, but it still isn't a perfect look that I want. So I'm going to Control Z and go back, and Control Z and go back. What I would want to do with something like this is use what we call the hatch fill. So you can see I don't need to worry about my islands and everything, and I can just hit a hatch fill, and there's a perfect hatch fill for it. Okay, so that is, the hatch fill is going to work perfect on squares. Now if we use the hatch fill on a circle, we're going to get something like this. So it's going to look nice around the outside. It's going to distribute your spacing, but then you're going to get some issues up at the top and bottom. So for a circle like this, I would actually use the island fill, and that's where you're going to do no islands because you want it to fill all the way to the inside until they meet. We're going to go to the inside, we're going to add stones, and we're going to do an island fill, and then we're going to get these results. Now if you have a couple in there that are overlapping, just click on that area, hit the down arrow, it's going to delete a stone, and look at that, you're perfect, good to go there with that fill. Okay, so now what we can also do, and I'm going to go back here, is we can do islands to the outside or the inside. So let's say you just wanted to fill this 6 rows to the inside and do an island fill, 1 2 3 4 5 6 to the inside. Now if I wanted to do 6 to the outside, I would just go here and island fill, and it did 6 rows to the outside. Okay, now if I wanted to go outside of this actual path, that's where your contour spacing is coming in. So let's say I did a contour spacing of 0.14 to the outside. You'll see it'll start outside of this path for the first island instead of right on it. So island fill, and see it went outside of that path, 1 2 3 4 5 6. Same thing if I went to the inside of it, island fill to the inside of that actual path, and 6 islands. So whatever amount of islands you choose, 3 islands, then it's just going to do 3. If you wanted to go the outside and you want it to be further to the outside, there you go, 3 to the outside. So pretty cool features here in the TRW Stone Wizard. And then our spacing, I'll show you the difference of our spacing. 0.0 is what we find good for the sticky flock template material. But let's just say I went to 0.09 and did an island fill. See how much more spacing there is in between each stone? So if I went back to 0.02 and island fill, now it's nice and tight, and spacing means from this stone to this stone to this stone on that path. Okay, so now what we can also do is our fill line spacing. So let me show you the difference of that. Let's go ahead and change our contours back to 0, and we're going to do 6 islands, and this time we're going to do 0.14 spacing, so I can show you that. Okay, nice and tight with the SS10s. If I change this to, let's say, 0.24 and did an island fill, see how it added a lot more spacing in between our islands? So that's what the fill line spacing is in between the islands, where the regular space is the stones on the actual path, how close they are together. So if I went here to 0.001, you can see those are real tight. That's machine style for your automatic rhinestone setting machine, where we found with the template material 0.02 is a nice spacing in between there. So you're going to change this fill line spacing. 0.14 is the magic number we found for SS10 stones, but watch the difference. If we switch to SS6 stones and still use the 0.14, see how that spacing is a little bit too much? So if we move this spacing down to like a 0.09, that's moving it down too much. So we found a good area for this is right around the 0.11 for SS6 stones, and that's going to leave some nice spacing in between. So 0.11 for SS6, 0.14 for your SS10 stones. And then obviously if we moved up to our SS16s, let's just say we did 0.17. That's a little bit too tight. We found that 0.2 is pretty good spacing for your SS16. So 0.11 for SS6, 0.14 for SS10, and 0.2 for SS16s. And then it depends on whether you go to the inside or the outside. So awesome. And then if we wanted to do SS16s all the way to the inside, island fill, and look at that, SS16s perfectly to the inside. However, if I switch back to 10s and did the exact same thing, way too much spacing because we didn't change back our fill line spacing, that for SS10 should be at 0.14, and bam, there you go, perfect. One little spot there, subtract, and you're looking good to go. Now next, that a lot of people are not using, I know, is our offset fill. So the offset fill, check out how cool this is. So we just have a path right there that we want to create an offset. So there's no island to create, because watch, if we created, let's say, 2 islands to the outside of it and added stones, that's going to do this, which looks nice. It does look nice, but you can see what it did is it created this island to the outside of that. Okay, so pretty cool feature, but if you had a different looking design or whatever it is, your island fill can start to look weird over time. So it's not going to hit it perfect and everything else. However, that does look very nice. Now with the offset fill, we can do 4 islands to the outside and do an offset. Then your area does not have to be closed. So you can see it did 4 islands to the outside of that path perfectly. So when I grab these islands here, you can see each one of these paths it created perfect to the outside. Now if I went 4 islands to the inside and did an offset fill, then it's going to create them perfectly to the inside. And the cool thing about it is you can even draw a path. So let's just say, for example, I drew a path like this. Okay, so I just used my freehand pick tool there and drew a path, and no matter which way it's going, no matter what way it is, you can grab your handlebars and move it around a little bit if you want. But we can do 4 islands to the inside and an offset fill, and it's going to do 4 islands like that perfectly, where it's not going to be able to do things like that with other features. As far as if we just had add stones to path, and then most people will think, oh, we'll just do copy selected. Well, copy selected is going to move it way up there. So if we use our place and fill in our offset, and let's say even say we wanted to do 10 islands and an offset fill on this, you can see how awesome that looks as it goes there. And then if we wanted to do 5 islands to the outside and an offset fill, then you're going to, let me select the object, offset fill, then it's going to do it the opposite way. So offset fill, awesome feature for your open-ended paths for creating things. So one more quick example of that, if I grabbed, let me just go ahead and come up here and grab my B-spline tool, and I'm going to click here, and I'm just going to do my B-spline tool around here like this. And let's say I want to do an offset path of 2 islands to the outside, and it's going to create that S perfectly like that, or whatever I want. So if I wanted to go 4 islands and offset, you can see what that's going to do. Now if I did the opposite and I did 4 islands to the inside, and you can see how nice it hit that path perfectly as well. So island fill, offset fill, and hatch fill, those are your different fill options. Now I did want to get a little more technical here for you as well to give you some ideas. Let's say, for example, we have a yellow box and a blue box. So you may be working with designs and you want to create stones in the yellow part but not in the blue part right there. What a lot of people will do is they'll do a hatch fill like this. Okay, well, let me change the stone color so it's easier for you to see. So they'll do a hatch fill like this. And let's go ahead and send that to the back just for now. And then they'll do a fill with, let's say, green with another, let's say, for example, hatch fill. Then let's get rid of those colors, and then they'll get rid of the blue in there. And then they'll come up here and clear their paths out of the way, and then they'll go to here and they'll mark, let's say, for example, a bottom layer overlap and move that out of the way. So a big process and a lot of time involved in doing that right there, and it's still not going to look that great. So I'm going to show you another little trick here with the different fills that can help you with something like that. Okay, so this is just knowing a couple Corel skills as well. So we have our box here and our box here. Okay, I'm going to click on both of my boxes and I'm going to hit trim. So I trimmed that out there. So now what's going to happen is when I do my hatch fill here, so don't need to worry about islands or any of that, and I just do a hatch fill. See what that does there? It hatch fills around that area. So it did all of that for me right there, and it knew not to put stones in that area because it wasn't part of the actual object. Okay, so pretty cool features you can do with different things in the TRW Stone Wizard combined with CorelDRAW features. And same thing for this. If we did a circle here, there's always going to be some manual editing involved when you're doing your different designs as well. But just to show you some of that is we have a bowling ball or whatever it is here. Now if I did a SS10s and I went to place and fill and I did islands to the inside and added stones, it's going to do that. Well, that's not what I want because again, I don't want all of those areas there where the different holes are. So I'm going to select each of these and combine them together, and then I'm going to click on these three which I combined it, shift click to my circle and hit trim. So I'm done with those. Now this is all one object, so watch the difference when I do an island fill there. It knows to hit those areas perfect. Now we can use our magic respace features in some of these areas just to fix up those views. So we are going to have obviously some manual editing involved, but it's going to be a lot easier with the features like this to be able to hit all these different circles perfect. So hope this video helps you out with some different basic fill features in the TRW Stone Wizard version 2.12 and above. And this is your island fill, your offset fill, and your hatch fill features in the wizard. Now I did have one more that I'm seeing as we're closing up here. One more is the hatch fill angle. So a lot of people have some different questions with the hatch fill angle, and let me just show you that real quick. So if I have my angle at 0, it's going to hatch fill it like that. Now if I switch that angle to, let's say, 45 degrees, it's going to hatch fill it at a 45-degree angle, which I'm going to have to change my fill line spacing a little bit. See the angle it went at right there? So let's change that fill line spacing. Let's try 0.17. And we need a little bit more than 0.17. So let's try 0.2 and hatch fill, and there we go. Now it hit it at a perfect 45-degree angle. We could also change it to whatever we want, 164-degree angle. Any angle you want to throw in there, it's going to go at different angles. And that is your hatch angle for your different fills. So I hope this video helped you out with the TRW Stone Wizard and your different fill features in the TRW Stone Wizard Rhinestone software. If you do have any questions at all, make sure to give us a call. Number's 941-755-1696. This is Matt with the RhinestoneWorld.com, and you guys all have a great day.